Hello everybody again. Thanks for stopping by, sharing some time. Welcome back, if you've already seen some of my videos, and a fresh welcome to anybody who's viewing for the first time. Today I'm going to talk about labels, bullies, and accountability. These days, with the various streams of information that we feed on a regular basis and feed upon us, it's very easy to just drop a phrase, drop a label, drop some sort of title, a negative one, on a reflex, on a trigger for your trauma, and just shoot a label at someone. You must be careful because a single label, there's a lot of really powerful labels these days that get thrown around extremely casually, and depending on who they're aimed at and how it lands can have actually catastrophic effects. You can come up with all sorts of labels, again, that are quite overused these days. Seems in a lot of different self-help communities, personal evolution communities, spiritual communities, from creators that move within these communities. Something like narcissist or psychopath. These are very popular labels that get thrown around very, very casually. And I guess other subcultures would throw around labels like sexist or racist or some other ist. Pick a group, and it's easy to assume because someone says something that they're against another group or have some possibly implied or hidden prejudice. It's more difficult to give people the benefit of the doubt, more difficult to see complicated human beings with their various mistakes that will obviously happen in a human life, and various differences of opinion that are sometimes unreconcilable, and people get triggered. Labels get shot, and it could put holes in people's lives. So you're responsible for the labels that you spread and share. Everybody's got some sort of hang-ups. Everybody's got limiting perceptions. Everybody's got some sort of prejudice. Doesn't matter who you are, what kind of work you do. Everybody's got them somewhere. We can release prejudice and limitations on how other people live or should live through internal work, through therapy, through personal evolution. But I just see a lot of people just tossing around labels, implying labels for certain groups or people, warning people about very simple personality traits or kind of simple actions that could easily be misunderstood, to try to identify someone as label A or label B. And we should be very careful about that, because labels these days have great power, great destructive power. And whether you meant it or not, whether it was just a quick reaction and you shot out that post that labeled somebody or a group, you're responsible for that. Now, these days, there's been this increased focus on traditional bullies, people that would use power or physicality to intimidate others, to control them, to get them to do what they want. The classic bully, the bigger kid on the playground at school that has some group of friends that follow them around, that picks on the smaller kid, or maybe not the smaller kid, but the kid that doesn't quite fit into the whatever the subculture is that's dominant in a school or at that time in that country. That's the traditional form of a bully, and it's not good to be a bully. Not good to push people around physically or intimidate them physically to try to get what you want. But these days, the most common bully, given there's been an increased focus on that traditional form, the most common bully is passive-aggressive bullies, victim bullies. Those little manipulative, often cowardly people that will talk behind someone's back, will slander, and will toss out labels. If you're someone who casually tosses out labels at groups or people, you're probably a bully. Maybe you don't like bullies, but you gotta look in the mirror, because you might be one. It takes extra work. If you're on the spiritual path, there's many paths to walk, but if you're on any kind of spiritual path that appreciates fairness, that maybe recognizes we must go into dark places, but is usually looking for an upward trajectory, usually looking for at least that little crack of light to move towards. If you're on that kind of path, you should be very careful about shooting labels at people and things, and about that time you spend in the mirror trying to decide whether you're the bully or the narcissist or the psychopath or the sexist or racist or whatever ist you might want to identify someone as. Look at yourself in the mirror first. If you're going on and on about narcissism, very popular word these days, very popular label, if you're going on and on about it, and you've had a bad experience with someone that you feel pushed you around, took advantage of you, manipulated you, that definitely happens. But what was your responsibility in the situation? And, this is very important, did you at least attempt, in goodwill, to bring your concerns about some set of behavior that another person in your life directed at you and bring it to their attention? Did you let them know? Did you tell them that you didn't appreciate a way a person spoke? Try to find a better way to communicate? Did you identify certain kinds of behaviors that maybe you thought were narcissistic or whatever other label you might come up with? Did you present that to them? Did you try to communicate and reconcile and find a better way to relate to each other? Because if you didn't do that, you're probably creating flying monkeys if you're going around and telling other people about some sort of behavior that you never even addressed in the first place. You did very well. Might be both a bully and a narcissist or whatever other label. So you have to be very careful about that. And that's where accountability comes in to this conversation. Others must be held accountable in various ways. But again, are you actually trying to hold someone to account? Are you presenting bravely your case about mistreatment, trying to get an understanding of where a person is coming from, trying to provide an opportunity for a person to change that behavior or find a better way to interact? Are you accountable? Are you looking in the mirror? Are you thinking about what it might be like to be on the other side of you? Are you very passive? Are you avoidant? Because if that's the case, it's possible to be abusive, it's possible to be narcissistic and covert and avoid and victimize yourself. It's very, very possible. Have you done that accountability check for a moment? And have you communicated your grievances to the person that you might want to shoot a label at? That's really the question. So be careful about your labels. Don't be a bully. I don't think anyone should be a bully. Don't think that's a desirable thing. Make sure you're looking in the mirror and taking accountability. Before you go out and decide someone is a something, make sure you're speaking to them. Make sure you're giving both parties a chance to understand the different sides of the story. Make sure that you're not that label that you might be projecting at others. And try to find that when you can. It's not always possible. People agree to disagree. People sometimes have to go separate ways. That's part of being a mature, brave adult. But when you can, try to find this, okay? Talk to you later.